And there it is. All right, so you join us.
We're going to check Cornejo's email really quick.
Yeah, first things first. Yes, you joined us back in the middle of round 2. Thank you again for sticking with us here as we get some of our technical issues worked out. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
OBS just stopped. It's
Yeah.
like, good.
I just don't want to run right now. Not feeling it.
Yeah.
So rather than feeling it, looks like they decided not to. You got a Painter's Servant coming down. That costs 2 mana. Does not get increased by Thalia. I was about to say that it does, but it is a creature.
Fantastic. All right. Yeah. So what can you tell me about Imperial Painter? What is that?
Imperial Painter tries to paint things imperially. You have this card called Imperial Recruiter that goes finds Painter's Servant.
Okay.
But there's no Painter's Master. There's
Okay.
just the Servant and the Recruiter.
Okay,
But they
okay.
don't ever meet the team leader or anything like that.
Okay. So they're just out in the field getting their work done. Okay.
Yeah, and then you see there's this card called Grindstone, which is kind of their tool.
Okay.
And it turns out that Imperial Recruiter is really bad at using the Grindstone.
Okay.
The Painter's Servant is all about the Grindstone. He should be the Grindstone Servant.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
But what happens is that Painter turns everything to blue, as you can see by that blue die, and then Grindstone says, if your top 2 cards show the same color, mill them and then do it again.
Okay.
And then keep doing that till they don't match. And it turns out when all of them are blue,
They all match.
they all match.
Forever.
Forever.
Never ever. I see. Very okay. So facing off against the Stefan Taxis deck, what do you?
So
How do
there's only 2 things in life that you can be sure of. One of them's death. The second one's the ampersand, and the third one is taxes.
the worst. Okay.
So Death and Taxes, it comes from the era of Magic when people chose names for decks that made literally no sense whatsoever. And people don't like when you do that anymore. That's why you see things like Jeskai Delver or
Yeah, that's boring.
What's another good example of a deck name that they decided to stop using?
Decided to stop using.
Yes.
Canadian Threshold would be a good example.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the old name for Rug Delver.
Yes.
Back in
So
the
it looks like we're going to see John O'Connor fire off a Pyroblast targeting an Aether Vial.
Yeah, Aether Vial on
A
2.
blue Aether Vial on
Yeah,
2.
not normally blue, but in this case.
Special some days.
Yeah, all things on the field.
HC Fox hooking us up with some great examples. Cephalid Breakfast, Infinite Combo Deck.
Yeah.
Tin Fins, kind of an infinite combo deck if you pilot it the right way.
Yeah. The breakfast decks I think are very interesting. That's a really, really old school naming convention where a combo deck had a breakfast name. Tricks.
Cocoa Pebbles, Fruity Pebbles.
Exactly.
Tricks was the only one that made sense because it was tricky. Why people saw Donate and they're like, this card is terrible, why did they print it? And then someone was like, man, that's pretty tricksy if you get him with Illusions of Grandeur.
Yeah.
And the name stuck, and now that's how you name decks.
Absolutely. All right, so picking the matchup back in progress, you see Nick Rosas with a board full of 2 drops, including the Sarah Avenger and a Spirit of the Labyrinth, making things slightly inconvenient for John if he ever wants to tap that top on his own turn. And this Thalia with the back in front of a Caracas.
It's combo.
Means that Thalia is going to be difficult to take down, and John's going to have to pay a little bit extra tax as he deploys his spells. This deck, what's the ratio? I know it's mostly Imperial Recruiters and Painters. Painter Servants, sorry, not
So
Master.
Painter Servant, you got some Blood Moons in there, you got some Magus of the Moon to go find with Painter. Sometimes there's some
clever.
techie one-ofs. I've seen a Thalia in this deck, I've seen a...
Legend Rule?
Yeah, I've seen Spirit of the Labyrinth, I've seen... What's the other one? Grand Arbiter? No,
Oh.
Grand Abolisher.
Yes, Grand Abolisher.
I've seen Leonin Arbiter. There's been a ton of one-ofs that I've seen in this deck. Just for the occasional, sometimes Imperial Recruiter gets it. Besides that, it's basically a bunch of Pyroblasts.
It's a full 8, as I understand it, right?
I believe it's 6 or 8 main deck, and then usually you board some out on the draw, or on the post-board games, because what happens is you name blue game 1, so all your main deck Pyroblasts and Red Elemental Blasts are active, and then your opponents board in their Pyroblasts and Red Elemental Blasts, so you don't name blue anymore, you name a different color, and then they have a ton of dead cards, and now you're playing this kind of, where's the cards? Are they in my main deck, or are they in my sideboard?
Okay. Oh, and here comes Grindstone. John paying the tax here on the back of that City of Traders.
Yes. And he has enough mana to activate, and so we're going to see if he decides to activate or if he's going to wait. The advantage of waiting is in case Nick has a Swords of Plowshares, so he doesn't just time lock himself. But if he doesn't do anything else with this turn, it doesn't really matter. And Nick, of course, does have a Swords of Plowshares in hand, ready and willing to fire off on that Painter Servant and get it off the table.
Yeah, but now is
2 copies of Flicker Wisp as well.
Yeah, but no Aether Vials to summon them quickly. Yeah, John looks like he's taking his time deciding which direction he wants to go. If he gives Nick additional draw steps to find that Sorcerer Plowshares, eventually he's going to have to pull the trigger.
Yes, very true. However, John could also say, I'm not really under a whole lot of pressure right now. You've got a Sarah Avenger, and that's about it.
Yeah, the Spirit can attack profitably. The Thalia gets blocked. Lines up very poorly against Painter's Servant, clocking in at 1-3.
So I think John can wait for a little bit. He doesn't necessarily need to win this second because it's always on the table. It's always ready to hunt.
Yeah, Rogue 0071, bringing up a good point. Difficult or awkward to name blue against Force decks because they can pitch their basic land,
Yes.
for example, to their Force of Will. Yeah,
But not their Tundras. Just kidding. They can pitch their Tundras too.
Tundra's not basic though.
Yes. Pitch a waste.
Hey, be a waste of a time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Be a waste of a waste.
Nick clocking. Oh, and John's not going to activate that Grindstone. Okay. Does buy Nick just a little bit of time here to use that Sorcerer Plowshares safely. Although, I understand this deck to sometimes play Simian Spirit Guide.
Yes, it does. You can sometimes get it with Imperial Recruiter, and sometimes you just need some velocity. There's also usually some number of Lotus Petals in there.
Yeah, so you want to hit the ground running with this deck like this.
It's important that you're fast in the matchups that you need to be fast. So it looks like during the end step, Nicholas is going to fire off this Swords to Plowshares on the Imperial Recruiter. Wants to get
mana.
off the table.
Hell, he had it.
The Monkey Blast! It's
He
happening.
just didn't.
He could have, used,
Activated the Grindstone.
Yeah, he could have won the game there, but I like the Monkey Blast way more.
Absolutely.
That was
Wow.
some value right there.
Oh, that's fantastic. If Nick does have a second Swords of Plowshares, this play is going to be a little silly, but it would have been in either case.
Yes.
There comes
So
three
we're going
mana.
to see the activation at
Wow.
sorcery speed.
Really patient play by John rewards him with taking that to take that first game.
Looks like our spotter just lost about 20-something years of his life.
Super funny.
Transformed into a young child.
Yes. Left player.
Yes.
I wish
Most important of all the clicks.
I would love one day to have just a guy with a camera just videotape this and like all the silly, the foolish stuff we do over here.
The chicanery, the shenanigans.
The tomfoolery. Yes. So you're not quoting the Key and Peele bit when you say chicanery.
I'm just quoting the word in general.
It's a good word.
I'm happy that there is a Key and Peele skit, and I've probably seen it, but that is not what I'm thinking of. I'm just thinking of the word chicanery. Chicanerous is another word I really like to say. Sometimes it can be hard to bring into the conversation, though. It's a very chicanerous act. Instead of blasphemous act is what I like to say.
And then you need like a dastardly would be, if you want to go down the alphabet, we need like an A. Oh, in any case, going into the sideboards here. So I know you like playing Death and Taxes. How would you approach a matchup like this?
Very unhappily. This is
Okay.
not a great matchup for D&T, as we saw. He was like, I got to do my whole thing. It was great. I felt like I was in control, and then you won the game instantly. And that can kind of happen. Death and Taxes, like, you need the right answer, and you also need the clock, and you also need the threats, and you also need
The tax effects.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways you need to attack this deck, and there's a lot of ways this deck attacks you. Main deck Blood Moon is actually incredibly effective versus Death and Taxes.
Yeah, playing those Wastelands Caracases.
Rishadan Ports even.
Oh yeah, big one.
It's very easy. Death and Taxes usually only run somewhere between 5 and 8 planes.
Really?
Yeah, and
Okay.
people seem to think that it's like, oh, it's a mono white deck, you don't have that many basics, and like Miracles plays almost twice as many basics as them.
Oh, Ancient Silver Blast. I'm gonna wish I could like that comment. Let me hit him with this thing. Oh, that doesn't give thumbs up. That's a shame. Well,
I think it might just be thumbs up with uppercase convention, so not sure.
there it is. That's what I got.
Did it. Dreams alive.
Okay, so with that in mind, what are some common sideboard cards that you might want to have access to? You can't bring
so-
in too much, right?
Yeah, the thing is Null Rod is not a card Death and Taxes can have on the board, and that's a great card to have in this matchup.
Yeah.
However, due to the fact that they rely so heavily on their equipments and Aether Vials to attack very different matchups, it means that it's
Yeah.
very hard for them to bring it in there.
Okay.
Usually copies of Disenchant come in. I've seen Cataclysm come in this matchup. I
pretty
love
good.
Cataclysm. I think it's incredibly underrated. I think the other thing you want is just like you just want a really fast clock and hope they stumble.
Okay, makes sense.
If you can get underneath them and like double waste them with a Rishadan Port off your Aether Vial on turn
Okay.
1, you can be in a very good spot very, very quickly.
Yeah. So your game 2 match mindset is not going to be significantly different from your game
Yes.
1. You're going to have some extra removal tools. You're going to have a little bit less on the like awkward creatures. Simian or Spirit of the Labyrinth seemed a little awkward there. Lines up so poorly against that Imperial Recruiter.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. You just want to do your Death and Taxes thing. Jund him out, if you will.
Yes. And Death and Taxes, while it does attack from a lot of different angles, it doesn't have a lot of versatility in what it does.
fair.
And I've seen a lot of people screw around with like the enchantment, the Enlightened Tutor package on the sideboard.
yeah.
Sorry, not enchantment, Enlightened Tutor.
Right.
And I don't know if it's that effective just because it disrupts what you're trying to do so much as a deck. So I think you just want to land an Aether Vial, have your Flicker Wisps active.
Yeah.
Nick has an Aether Vial, he's got double Rishadan Port. Oh, this hand looks great. This hand is a spicy meatball.
Good, yeah.
There's a Flicker Wisp in there too, which is pretty much the nightmare scenario for every deck when you have Aether Vial, is vialing in, I'm going to blink something for a little while,
Exactly.
for
yeah.
some indeterminate amount of time.
Yeah, on John's side, I think I see a Firebolt. Leading things off, I believe that's actually Firebolt. But he's playing his cards pretty close to the chest here. Maybe that's a Curse Scroll? Oh no, that's a Mountain.
I think
Also,
it's a Fire Blast.
really got to commend the choice of mountains here for John.
Are those Mirage?
I believe they are.
So it looks like we're going to see a top on turn 1, as well as a Lotus Petal. And so if
Yeah, gets it out onto the field. No reason to let it walk into Athalia.
it looks like O-Ring is the draw for Nick.
That's
Let's
pretty
see what he
good.
does with that. I imagine he's just going to Senses, or he's just going to Rishadan Port that Mountain.
Nick does have a Revoker on the field now.
He could Jam Revoker, but I don't know if it really does all that much for him.
And shutting off the Lotus Petal.
That's one way of looking at it, but the way that I always look at it is, man, I just want to activate Rishadan Port a lot. Like, I would just activate Rishadan Port here. What I would do is I would pass priority to John during the upkeep step and says, yes, you can go during your upkeep. And he's like, all right, well, upkeep, I'll top. And you're like, yeah, that's fine. Or he can say, all right, go to draw. And then you're like, draw step, port you. And he's like,
So awkward.
I guess I top now.
Yeah.
You can disrupt his turn so much, and the fact that you have Aether Vial means that you don't really care all that much about missing your like curving out situation because you're just going to curve out through Aether Vial.
Yeah, you skip one turn and then you're right back on clock. Except you have a port every turn.
And so Nick is actually going to get a Sword of Fire and Ice here, and I actually boarded out in this matchup.
Really? Why?
Because people are like, oh, but it's so good. You know, they name Imperial Painter, and then you have protection from everything,
Yeah.
including the Sword of Fire and Ice.
Super good point.
A lot of people miss that. It's pretty important. So looks like John's going to end step crack his Lotus Petal for white to cast this Enlightened Tutor. Let's see what it's going to go find.
Yeah.
So
Painter
so far
Servant
it's
is an
an
artifact.
Yes. Yeah, it certainly is. It's an artifact that will make everything red, including Sword of Fire and Ice.
Yeah, and Sword of Fire and Ice gives the creature protection from itself, which means that it falls right off.
Yes. And as we all know, you cannot equip something illegally to a target,
Yeah.
and it falls off as a state-based effect.
Yeah, exactly. Something can't be equipped illegally, but hilariously, activating the ability is legal.
Really?
Yeah,
You can target it? I don't think you can. Equip targets.
You can, but the creature doesn't have protection yet until it's on it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so
it successfully equips and then falls off. So if you had a
Falls right
traded
off.
ability, what's the guy that whenever he becomes equipped, draw a card or something like that? Pure Steel Paladin? No, that's
okay.
when you cast. Never mind. I don't know.
But you could equip it over and over for free. And there it is, Firebolt. That was one of the first cards I learned to first pick.
Yeah.
Firebolt.
Doesn't kill one creature, it kills two creatures.
Yeah, clocking in with the shock here. I'll get that off the board here.
Nick's going to draw a Wasteland for the turn. So if I'm Nick here, I just waste and then...
Use
Oh,
my
so
vial.
here's what I do. I waste, I Rishadan Port the Mountain, and then I Violin the Phyrexian Revoker.
Yeah, Nick chose to play his second planes on his second turn
Ooh.
instead of getting that port onto the field here.
I would have ported on turn 2, and then I'd waste port this turn, and I'd be very happy
Yeah.
with how this game is played out.
Even if you're going to play the Stonebridge mistake, I can't think of a reason why you want to have double white so early.
Yeah, it's pretty unnecessary.
Unless he's hoping to untap, peel a... Actually, maybe he's just going to cast Flicker Wisp, but that seems a little weird.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's not a card that's great when you cast at sorcery speed.
Yeah.
So it looks like we are going to see that Wasteland take care of the Ancient Tomb right away and send the turn back. And Nick's probably kicking himself for not playing that port last turn.
Yeah, that's okay. You know, he's still got a lot of game here. He's having that access to that Aether Vial on 2 with the Revoker in his hand means he's got a lot of room to maneuver in case John gets weird.
Yes, absolutely. And John might just get weird right here. He's going to drop an Ancient Tomb. He's got access to 3 mana. It looks like Magus of the Moon's coming down. And all of a sudden, these ports are now dead for the rest of the game when
Yeah.
they could have been locking John out
Yeah,
of
the
the game.
planes looks really smart here. Though. Yeah, Nick's got to make a decision now if he wants to sit on this Aether Vial or sit on this Revoker for a long time.
I mean, I think there's value in saving the Revoker to answer the combo.
Yeah.
However, John's not really at the point where he's going to deploy the combo right now, so I don't know if I'm that worried about it, and I would definitely want to stop this Painter Servant.
Yeah. So here comes that Revoker. We'll see what the name is.
I'm going to imagine it's on top. I think they both agree that it's on top. Flicker Wisp coming down, or Aether Vial on 3 means that Flicker Wisp can come down at instant speed to change what Phyrexian Revoker's naming, if that happens.
Yeah, we'll give John a slight window for the remainder of the turn to get things going, but yeah, this game taking a downward turn for Nick here.
Nick can play a Mountain, and then play a Sword of Fire and Ice.
Yeah. And again, this is
And if he had Jite, he'd be in much better shape.
even a Batterskull would be Well, the locker.
more impactful.
Yeah.
Not by much, but still more impactful.
Maybe it was Grindstone.
What Nicholas can do is he can end step, activate Vial in that Flicker Wisp the painter, suit up Sword of Fire and Ice on his turn, and attack John with it, kill the Magus of the Moon.
Okay.
I don't know if that's necessarily a great line, but it is something.
It does get some stuff on the board. It does get a creature,
It gets quite a bit of damage on the board.
as well as having that Flicker Wisp on the field means that you get to combat with it.
Yeah, you get to swing. He'd be able to swing for 7 here?
Yeah, that's a lot. Getting the ports back as well would be pretty impactful.
Yes. He would have to utilize his mana to do so he wouldn't be as able to use the ports in the way that I like using ports. I don't look at ports as a land that taps for mana that also taps your opponent's lands. I look at as a way to attack your opponent's mana base, like Wasteland, but not permanent. Looks like the combat step is just coming in hot. I don't know, actually.
I think now this is a very good opportunity to
You know what I would have done?
what's that?
I would have Flicker Wisped into play to trade with the Painter Servant. And
Okay.
what I'm really sad about is that City of Traders is sadly whenever you play a land, not whenever a land enters the battlefield under
Yeah.
your control, because I would really like to blink a land.
Nick doesn't know about this interaction here.
Looks like that's going to happen, and John's going to say, the equipment happens. And what's really awkward about this is
Yeah.
because it's not an illegal action, the game doesn't get rewound.
Exactly.
It just happens.
Yeah, although if Nick wants to, he can wave out the Painter Servant yet again, and then still smash. He's only going to get one chance to do the thing.
Well, I mean, once the equip happens, it's too late.
Yeah, but even now knowing how it works,
Gotcha.
yeah,
I
does
see what you
get himself a rebate. Yeah,
He could still run it back. I don't know how powerful that is. It costs a lot of mana.
does do something, and it gets you your ports back.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah,
Looks like we're going to see Scalding Tarn tap for red.
that's right. It is a mountain, not basic. It prefers Dunkin' Donuts, probably. When I asked Brain, "Can I have a coffee place that's not Starbucks?" It was like, "Ah, Dunkin' Donuts." Kind of a shout out to the oh my goodness, Goblin Welder.
Exchange some pieces in some zones.
Yeah, if John can put an artifact into Nick's graveyard, can get this problematic Revoker off the field.
Yeah, off the table. Roker must be on Grindstone because we just saw top get activated.
That's right.
So it looks like Nick just drew. Was that a copy of Stoneforge Mystic or
I think it's a
Thalia?
Thalia.
Okay, I wasn't sure. It looked like a promo card, so.
Yeah. And Nick playing with some of these foils here, making it slightly more inconvenient for us because we purists prefer the oldest version.
I just don't mind. It can be hard to tell in the booth here.
Yeah. Grumpiest, perhaps surliest version.
Yes. Yes, everyone in Seattle talks incredibly fast. That's
Yeah.
our secret.
Yeah, we have to race the players.
Yeah, they play so quickly.
Here comes that Thalia. Gonna prevent John.
Not really preventing him from anything,
yeah.
just taxing him a little bit.
Just a bit.
Nickel and diamond. That's what I like. I look at Death and Taxes as a deck that you're trying to nickel and dime them.
Yeah.
That's why I like activating Rishadan Port on turn 2. Just you can get a little bit of income here, you can get a little bit of income there, and then all of a sudden your opponent doesn't have any money in the bank.
Yeah. John gonna need to pay 1 mana to deploy this Lotus Petal.
I think the problem is that everybody else talks too slow.
Agreed. I did have a lot of coffee today. I will say.
I didn't have a lot of coffee. I only had my usual daily 16-ounce intake of coffee. I did have a cappuccino instead of a latte, though.
Interesting. 16-ounce cappuccino?
I ordered a latte, and then they gave me a cappuccino and looked at me really weird, and I'm like, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so it looks like top is going to get activated. In response, Goblin Welder is going to exchange the 2 artifacts. Going to put the Lotus Petal into the field. Top going to hit the graveyard. Draw a card going to happen. And now what? Now what, John? What's the follow-up? Inquiring minds need to know. You have exactly enough to activate that Grindstone. Except that Phyrexian Revoker remains on the field.
Yes, there's also no Grindstone in play to activate, but...
Well, I mean, he just drew a card. I imagine it's got to be something good.
Oh, okay, fair enough. He's got one too many to do that.
No, that's true.
So it looks like John is just going to make that sweet play and then send the turn back to Nick. Nick's going to... Looks like he's just going to untap.
Okay. Yeah, again, still looking for a way to get something going. Both players flush with lands at this point. Access to a lot of resources. Nick waiting for the prime opportunity to deploy his Flicker Wisp to get 1 problematic permanent off the field.
Looks like we're going to see a Vial come down.
Yeah, right after casting Thalia, perfectly timed. And now sitting on his hands here.
Literally sitting on his hands.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, we'll say a nervous tick that I had to fight really strongly to get over was flicking my cards really hard during my opponent's turn. So instead, Greg and I both tried to do this at the same time when we lived together. Put the hand on the table, put the hands in your lap, and then just sit back and stare at them.
Yeah, people get nervous when you do that.
Yeah,
What I really like doing is when I'm playing a deck that has a bunch of instant speed interaction, I'll put my hand on the table in front of me and I'll like separate all the cards. That way my opponent doesn't even need to ask how many cards are in my hand because I'm like, there's 4. Like, look, there's 4 cards right here. And then they're like worried because they're like, oh shit.
Things are happening here. So it looks like John has used that same trick with the Goblin Welder.
Yeah. Doesn't get to draw a card this time, nor can he produce a mana this time.
Does get to make the top 3 cards of his deck known.
Very true. And he's just going to send the turn back. So again, this is a very slow and grindy card advantage engine. Goblin Welder swapping which zone the Lotus Petal is in response to the top activation.
That's right. Swords and Plowshares.
Yeah, good draw, good draw.
Absolutely.
So
And I
now
think-
what I would definitely do, I would Swords of Plowshares, the Imperial Recruiter, or not Imperial Recruiter, the Painter, suit up that sword and jam. Raspberry jam, if you will. In fact, the Goblin Welder is tapped right now, so if there's any shenanigans, can't change the zone that sword is in before damage. Nick would be able to get that Goblin Welder off the table permanently, which I think is a really big deal. So here comes the swords.
Drawing half a card a turn, big deal.
It's more the inevitability factor. Looks like we got a Pyroblast on the stack.
Okay.
Ooh, interesting. So
Okay.
I'm trying to think about what Nick can do. He does have a Flicker Wisp, so he could Flicker Wisp the Painter to exile it so that the swords would resolve.
But the Painter's off the field for the remainder of
The
the
zone
turn.
is now in the wrong location, is the problem. It's pretty awkward for Nick. He really just wants to remand his Swords of Plowshares, I think.
Give me another shot. Give me another chance.
Mana Tithe.
Manita.
Not good enough, sadly.
Yeah, it's still short just by a little bit here. And again, we see Painter Servant at 1/3 faces off very well against this board of 2/1s.
I think that if Nick had just vialed in a Flicker Wisp like 5 turns ago, he would have won this game. He'd just be able to attack for 3 every single turn. It's like John's going to deploy a Recruiter.
Now we get to see what spicy one of 2 power creatures John has in his deck.
Absolutely. I wonder what it's going to be. Could be another copy of Goblin Welder. Could be another copy of Painter. Those are the first 2 things he passed by.
Yeah, would allow him to draw 1 card per turn.
Was that a Duragar Hedge Mage?
Holy moly! I'm
Man,
gonna start
are you-
cussing.
Are you proud that I had that off the top of my head?
I am. Yes, I am. Yeah, short answer is yes. Durgar Hedge Mage. Oh, Magus of the Wheel also would be a pretty spicy one.
Oh yeah, that's in the new Commander set, right? Well, not
yeah,
new, but like it exists now.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it used to not exist.
Even a Chris Mage would be fantastic, I think.
Granger Guild Mage, I believe, is your favorite. Pretty good versus Death and Taxes, as it turns out.
I've activated against. Thanks, Rogue. Let me summon Chris Mage.
Every time I hear Durgar Hedge Mage, I just think of the Duggars.
Oh, you got something. Okay, let's see what it is.
Oh.
It's Giant Ballard. Oh no, that's so terrible. He's very close to being able to Inferno.
Yeah. How much does it cost? 6, 8,
It's 7.
7?
Yeah, Jai Ballard. I did not know Jai Ballard had an avatar.
Just down the street, actually.
Yeah, actually, we're located in Ballard right now. Jai Ballard's multiple abilities, currently red 1 to Vindicate at instant speed at the cost of discarding a card, or get that Volcanic Hammer on demand.
Yes.
And let's go ahead and get that off the screen.
Yeah. Let's see
Actually-
this board. It's getting complex pretty quick.
John got a shuffle off of that Imperial Recruiter as well.
I think we need just a cam just on your hand motions while you're talking because that was really exciting.
Well, while you're talking, I'm going to communicate the thing that I think about the
Yes.
board. So I'm like pointing frantically at the monitor. See, this is why if we had a video camera tracking us as we did the thing, I think it'd be pretty cool.
Looks like we got a Painter turning sideways.
That's what
Getting
I like to
horizontal.
see.
Wow.
Coming in.
I would definitely violin that Flicker Wisp right now and block the crap out of that. Imperial.
You have never seen.
I don't think that Nick can lose the game if that occurs. Like, he's okay trading the Flicker Wisp there if it taps the
Welder?
Welder, because then he could suit up the sword, kill it. If he gets that the Welder off the table, I don't think he can lose. Just because that sword would be able, well,
Yeah, it turns the sword back on.
yes, it turns the sword back on.
Just momentarily. Okay. And Nick, again, playing it very patient, wants to wait for just the right opportunity to do his thing.
It's like we're going to see some welding shenanigans, same as last time.
You've seen it before. In response to drawing a card, put it in the bin. Don't need to have the top on the field in order to draw that card.
Changing zones all over the place.
Exactly. Goblin Welder, I appreciate John for, like, I normally like to dog on cards, like reprints of older cards.
Yeah.
The Judge Foil Goblin Welder has like 12 lines of text.
Yeah, I mean, it better have the entire wording of that
Yeah.
card.
It's got multiple if-then sentences. Like, I imagine coding it on Magic Online must have been a unique agony.
Yeah.
But
It's like we're going to see that Ballard hit the table.
Yeah.
Ballard and Ballard.
yeah, none. Clock's running for Nick. He needs to do. He does have access to that Phyrexian Revoker, but that's only staving off the beating here. John just attacked with the 1/3, and that was a relevant attack.
Yeah, 13 more swings at least.
Yeah.
He's dead.
And Nick again declining to activate his vial on 3.
I just feel like Flickerless would have ended the game so long ago. Oh,
Yeah,
it's coming in finally.
Yeah, it is a little risky.
So we're going to see an end step Flicker Wisp, and of course Flicker Wisp returns the permanent at the beginning of the next end step. We've already passed the end step, the beginning of the end step for John, so we're about to go to Nick's turn, and it's not going to come in yet until Nick's end step.
Yep, makes the players look like they're
So yeah,
both
John's
on the
like,
same
so when
page.
did you do that exactly?
Second main phase. No,
You know, I've done that before.
It's valid.
I've
sometimes.
blinked to my own batter skull multiple times during my own second, or during my opponent's second main phase.
Comes back without summoning sickness. Definitely relevant.
Nickel Rolos, White Walker, Planeswalker. No, he's just playing Plains, so Plains player.
That was really fast.
Yeah, I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
I figured out that joke after I started saying it, so I'm glad that the punchline at least connected and went full circle.
It's still funny. All right, let's see where the sword goes. And John has to read it now.
Yeah,
Knew
all of a
the-
sudden it matters.
Knew the clever interaction, and then like that's it.
Doesn't know the shock part.
Get yourself a quick heuristic on that one. So okay, what do you want to go after? There are a lot of juicy targets on John's side.
So I think you need to get that Jai Ballad off the table because you can't win if that's in play.
Nick does have one Phyrexian Revoker.
Yeah, but also there's so many other cards he could name, is one way of looking at it.
Yeah.
So that's the wrong sword.
Yeah, we're fire and ice. We're keeping it iced out nicely.
So fine.
in
So
my-
it looks like we probably got, we got a top activation.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the red blast's now way less effective. And John's not even able to shuffle with that Scalding Tarn in case things go south.
Mistake.
You know?
Oh, yeah, it looks like, Okay,
Yeah.
timer's right, timer's right.
Yeah, 20 minutes left in this round. Nick does need to turn the clock on.
So the ruling that we have come to is that if a Painter's Servant is in play, naming blue or red, and you
Yeah.
attempt to suit up a sword to a creature, that is a
Yeah.
legal target, as it does not have protection until the sword is already equipped.
Yeah.
Once the sword is successfully equipped, state-based effects are then checked.
Correct.
Protection says, I can't be equipped to something I'm illegally equipped to right now, and then
Yes.
immediately falls off. What's even more frustrating, and this came up, is that Nick attempted to equip for this exact situation, and due to the fact that it's not a rules infraction, the game doesn't get rewound and you get the mana back. It just happens.
Here's an example in chat of a
There's a
card.
whole cycle of those.
Tattoo Ward? No, that's unique, I think.
There's a cycle of cards that all give protection from enchantments, and then make it don't fall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so, okay, Spectral Ward is like a good one, whatever. Okay, and in the meantime, did look like that Sword of Fire and Ice took out Giant Ballard.
That's what I like to see. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more swing is lethal. However, we're not going to be able to see that this turn.
Yeah, we'll be some time on that. Yeah, Flicker Wisp coming back.
Yep.
We'll see what John likes to name. Fair enough.
Probably the same color.
Yeah,
it
blue
worked
is-
for him last time.
Blue is a safe guess.
Green would be a poor choice.
Valid. Sean's gonna get a fresh card off the top. Well, not really fresh. He had top during the combat step. But we actually saw that they were pretty stinky
Yeah.
over there. Is my recollection.
You know, the problem with this Imperial Painter deck is like it's got some really cool synergies, but it's also got a lot of very bad cards.
Yeah, like it plays like 23 lands or something. You know, it's just
Like,
a lot in this format.
I'm not gonna lie, Imperial Recruiter is like pretty cool when you're getting combo pieces, but
Yeah.
like as a value strategy, that card is quite bad.
Yeah, 3 mana for a 1/1. So that's pretty good in like Mental Magic.
Yeah.
You could cast a Pike Knight on 3 to get a 1/1 draw a card back.
I like casting Wheel of Fortune with my 2 and a red.
Pike Knight's great, but Wheel of Fortune on 3 is pretty good. Magus of the Moon less exciting. But you know, we saw that as the game went longer, this Imperial Painter deck, despite being ostensibly a combo deck, hasn't really been able to to execute his core game plan, and Nick is just on like land, here's a creature, here's a creature, all right, I attack you for some, and like that's probably going to be good enough.
We'll see if it gets close there. John is at 9, and that's 3 swings from this Flicker Wisp, which is currently not getting blocked.
I should have let you guys try to type Pike Knight for a while. That would have been funny.
It's an oof. I didn't know that. It's an oof. Oof? I didn't know how to pronounce that. I've only read it on Kitchen Finks and Dusk Urchins.
It's pronounced oof, like you got kicked.
oof.
Oof. Not hoof.
That's the sound you make when a horse kicks you.
Speaking of a horse kick, here comes that Magus of the Moon's coming in. And
Turning sideways.
Nick is so okay with it. He's like, he's clearly never blocking.
Never blocked slower.
A second Painter Servant, going to be very interesting. Do you name a separate color?
You can. I might name. No, I'd still name blue actually.
Yeah,
just in case the first one gets answered.
Yeah, because it's Painter Servant is additive, right?
It's additive, yeah.
Do this real quick.
In addition to its other colors.
Okay. Clear that out. Nick takes his draw step. Did he naturally draw Batterskull?
I don't know. I didn't see what it was. I'm gonna read Aether Vial really quick.
I was hoping John was trying to uptick the die.
Oh yeah.
I feel like it's on 4 now.
It's on 4.
Hope you're trying to. It's a good white forward wrap. Can't violin.
Thought not to.
Oh, that was
Restoration
pretty good.
Angel.
Oh yeah, that was really good. 3 damage in the air puts John down to a 2-turn clock. Oh, he's trying another Swords of Plowshares.
Spicy meatball.
That's pretty good.
So I would definitely swords the Magus of the Moon and start activating these ports.
Yeah.
Nicholas has not activated a single Rishadan port this game, which
how
is
does it-
way too few with 3 in play.
How does that make you feel?
In the top 8 of the last Legacy 1K, I was playing against Greg on Miracles while I was playing Death and Taxes, and there was a game that I was fairly certain was going to be impossible for me to win until I drew my 4th Rishadan port, and then my game plan was just port him every turn.
Fantastic.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think he was very happy about it.
In the end step, here comes an Enlightened Tutor for John.
Where is he getting access to white mana from?
He popped out Lotus Petal.
Oh,
For mana this time. So that is actually going to make it a little awkward with his.
His shenanigans with Goblin Welder and Senses Divining Top?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure who was teaching the. No, I'm not gonna leave that one alone. I think. What did he get?
I'm not sure.
Oh, there it comes.
Looks like we got a Monkey Blast. Not a Monkey Blast, just a regular. All right. Get it off the table.
Okay. And this Imperial Painter deck does have a lot of Jaya in it.
Yeah. I mean, it.
Flavor text on Simian Spirit Guide, flavor text on Pyroblast.
I forgot it was on Monkey.
The lady herself, Jaya Ballard.
Yeah, he did get a Grindstone, which makes sense. There was a second copy in Nick's hand, though, so that's pretty good. It's pretty neat. And you know what? There's also another Phyrexian Revoker in Nicholas' graveyard. So Nick could vial in a Phyrexian Revoker,
Right.
and John could swap it with the one in his graveyard, and then that Phyrexian Revoker would name Grindstone.
Actually gives Nick the opportunity to turn off actually any number of John's irritating cards. Yeah, so we're going to respond to that spell. The Grindstone on the stack. I'm going to get Revoker onto the field here. It's going to hit the field immediately. Nick's going to name something, and then John's going to have Grindstone locked off yet again.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
And John's like, let me look at your graveyard really quick. Oh, there's another copy of Phyrexian Revoker in there.
What
eh?
a shame, yeah. Yeah, kind of interestingly, if he had just Pyroblasted any one of these weird artifacts that Nick's got, he would have been able to weld out the Revokers. Kind of slowly.
Yeah, it's just basically changing the removal spell target retroactively, and I just
Yeah.
don't know if that's that effective.
It's clever. And this Imperial Painter deck doesn't like to be clever.
It makes John have to pay a tap of Goblin Welder. I'm going to imagine the reason why there's only 1 blue die is because John only owns 1 blue die.
That's fair. Yeah. Difficult to find these vanilla die without any faces.
So we got 2 1/3s coming in.
What you got?
Oh,
Kind of on
Nick's
double
like,
block.
all right. Yeah, but I don't think you can lose the Revoker.
Oh, that's a fair point. Oh, yeah, you probably lose the game immediately.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
On his draw step. Oh, you know what? Nick has another Swords of Plowshares in his hand.
That's true.
So he actually, you know what? Nick could have actually easily won the game there.
By double blocking, using the swords, untapping, starting slaying.
Yeah, so he double blocks, and John assigns lethal damage to the Revoker, and he's like, yeah, you got my Revoker. And then John's like, activate Grindstone, kill you, and he's like, swords the other one. Untap, suit on my Sword of Fire, and Ice to my Thalia.
Hello.
Attack you for
9 million.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
He can actually shoot up the Flicker Wisp.
Well, no, if he suits up the Thalia gets to attack through the board.
Oh, you're right.
So that's an extra 2 damage.
Oh, you're being pro.
Yeah. I'm the Death and Taxes master, so
That-
Nick's not sure where to put his hands or that Sword of Fire and Ice in this game. I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Here, do I put them on the field or what?
So yeah, Nick actually could have won the game there by blocking. I forgot about the Sword of Fire and Ice.
Yeah.
Instead, he's probably going to just win next game, next turn.
Yeah. A Pithy
Oh,
Needle
he's got a Pithy
in
Needle.
case of emergencies.
A little backup.
Oh yeah, and actually,
Very reasonable to activate.
John O'Connor does have the welder and with another artifact on the field, so blocking would have been a little dicey.
Why is that? Oh, right.
In respond to like Swords Resolves. All right, let me get my Devil back. Is this good?
Makes
It
sense,
actually
makes
weld out the grindstone in response to its own ability.
I do like seeing that. It's a pretty spicy
Yeah.
meatball. So this I definitely name Grindstone still. I think the only way that Nick can lose this game is if he gets grinded out before his next combat step.
Correct.
And so if he just puts more permanents into play that Phyrexian or that
That
stop
shut
the
down
Grindstone, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Something like a recruiter to get Jump Home Incinerator would be nice.
Yeah. Jump Home Incinerator for one.
Goblin Welder.
It is a goblin. I didn't even have to think about it. I knew.
Although this Durger Hedge Mage is just so
Spicy
sad.
meatball.
Yeah.
Does
control 2 mountains,
You know
so
what? If Nicholas had not played the Pithy Needle, he would have lost this turn.
Exactly. Oh, short 1 mana. Never mind.
Never mind.
Can flick this into the Lotus Petal.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
So he's gonna do this little shenanigan again. Draw an extra card.
And he's going to have 6 mana to use this turn now. Draws himself 1 fresh new card.
It's a land.
7 mana. Could Inferno to get. Actually, never mind.
Inferno Titan
Flashback Firebolt. Oh my god.
on the Flicker Wisp.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Gotta buy yourself a little bit of time. Nick, thinking about using it. Yeah.
So the correct line would have been to kill that Goblin Welder with Swords of Plowshares last turn, I suppose, or to Swords the Magus and then start Rishon porting.
Yeah.
Not-
Always correct a port where possible.
I mean, I think the thing about Death and Taxes is that you're better off using Rishadan Port as your mana rather than whatever you're casting with the mana.
Exactly, especially when you've got 2 Aether Vials.
Yes, especially when you have 2 Aether Vials in play.
Nick draws a fresh card. It's Mother of Runes.
Yeah, pretty powerful actually. It would have been really good like 30 turns ago.
Yeah, definitely true. And now we'll take 1 more hit from the painter and then get to start blocking safely.
Yes. Yes.
Actually,
Very-
could double up on Thalia and the Mom.
could. I don't know if it's a great strategy though.
Let's slowly getting painters out the field.
Oh, I guess, yeah, I was thinking that you'd still lose a creature there, but you would not, as John would have to assign blockers before you get an opportunity to activate Mother Runes. Once you
Exactly.
assign blockers, you protect whichever one is assigned first.
Yeah. In the upkeep, he gets to float. No, doesn't get to float a mana. But
It's not
does
that good.
Get to.
I didn't even see what those were.
There were 2 painters and Monkey Blast here.
Oh, okay.
Both pretty good. Now John's got 1 shot to get these permanents off the field.
Here comes the Hedge Mage.
Yeah, Durger Hedge Mage.
When it comes into play, if you control at least 2 mountains, destroy an artifact. If you-
Fortunately,
coincidentally,
as it turns out.
he has quite a few mountains.
Yeah,
More than none.
there goes that. Yeah, John playing his turn at sorcery speed just wants to get everything off the field.
And Pyroblast getting the Revoker off the table.
Yep, still thinking about that swords. Not good enough yet.
That's really too bad.
Yeah. And
course-
John actually could double kill Nicholas here.
Well, he doesn't have enough mana to activate the Grindstone now. He did
Right.
tap himself out.
Gets to untap, activate the grindstone, mill him out, and then attack for lethal.
And then attack with for lethal, yes, very
Yeah,
true.
The legendary DK.
Next gonna draw. Another copy of Karakas. That is not gonna do it, sadly.
And it's even still a legend. That's rude.
So the last swords that Nicholas casted was on a Painter's Servant. However, there was a Monkey Blast that targeted
That's correct.
that Swords of Plowshares, and it was an actual Monkey Blast. And that's why it was so savage.
You're right. Yeah, Nick just so close. Using the Mother of Runes to let Thalia come in for 2 damage. Just
Quite
one
enough,
off.
yeah. This is just, if Nick had put in that Flicker Wisp 1 turn earlier,
Exactly.
he would have had it. He had about a 10-turn window to do it,
Yeah.
and he chose the 11th turn, is what it looks like.
Yeah, here we see it's almost impossible to know that you're gonna get double killed by Imperial Painter.
Yeah. I mean, I think the writing was on the wall for a very long time that John was like
Yeah.
one answer for the hate piece away from winning the game and
Yeah.
just needed to find it.
Yeah, and a lot of super fortunate tap decks that, as weird as it says, the half card per turn on the back of that Goblin Welder in conjunction with the Divining Top, as well as a Lotus Petal.
It mattered. It added up real quick.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say it added up real quick. It added up over 5 turns, none of which had a Flicker Wisp.
Very true. None of them had a 3/1 flyer attacking every turn. Very true. Yeah, so John's like, all right, well, you know,
See
I'm
if you
doing
got
it.
it.
Show it to me. And the
it is.
handshake is going to get extended.
There it is. All right. All right, we're going to head on back to the booth here. We've got about 5 minutes left on the clock here. Not sure if we're going to find ourselves a backup match here.
Probably not. So I imagine we're just going to vamp in the booth a little bit.
That sounds fine. Not sure we came hot.
I do not believe we went hot.
I may have misclicked. Oh,
Yes,
oh I
you
can't
did.
click good. There we go. Perfect.
We'll make sure to set up a keyboard shortcut for the next turn. Next time you can use the F key, the function keys, so you can do like F1 as the caster cam.
Oh, really? Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I can set that up.
Yeah.
It's very easy.
OBS here at Card Kingdom. Hello and welcome back to the booth. Casey Hogan joined in the booth by my good friend Josh
Always.
West here.
Always.
You know.
Am I like way off camera? I feel like I'm way off camera.
Let's
I'm just going
find
to
out.
check and make sure.
Yeah, you may see a little glare. You get to see what I see in just a
Okay,
second.
I'm not too bad. I'm a little bit off. I'm a
That's
little bit
fine.
off.
I gotta look here where the
Yeah.
camera's at. Okay.
I'll just scoot in this way and kick you a little bit.
Hi.
Yeah, there we go. All right, problem solved.
Hi, buddy. Okay, all right.
Problem
that-
solved. Now,
Perfect.
now we're equalized in our halves.
I think that's right. Yeah. So really heartbreaking loss.
Yeah, I thought Nick had that. I thought Nick was going to get that.
Yeah.
And you know, I always root for death and taxes, so
Absolutely. Yeah. 3 things are inevitable, but victory. Wait.
not. 3 things are inevitable, and victory's not one of them. You
That's
forgot about the ampersand. A lot of people do,
100%.
which is my favorite symbol in the death and taxes name.
Hmm.
Also my least favorite symbol. But yeah, that was round 2 here at Card Kingdom in Seattle, Washington. That's your host, Casey Hogan. I'm your not.
You're
See, I already
color.
messed it up. I'm the color commentator today.
think,
I'm usually the host, and
Yeah.
it's setting me off. I have a different angle on the booth from over here. I'm usually sitting right there.
Exactly, yeah. I've got the access to the whole power strip over on this side.
Oh, yeah.
I've got the keyboard that we use to summon pictures of Firebolt.
I can see the store though. I have a much better
true.
angle on the store.
Can we talk about Firebolt?
Yeah.
That was really, really weird how important that card was.
Yeah, it, you know, I had completely forgotten that it had been casted that game
Same,
because
yeah.
it got casted on turn 1.
Yeah, it's not Odyssey block constructed, so like I'm not thinking about Firebolt anymore.
Constantly thinking about Firebolt.
I mean, there were about a couple months where I was basically continuously thinking about Firebolt. It was Firebolt, and the first bolt targets like a 1/1, and then they cast Battle Screech, and then they get a bunch of 1/1s after that. That's actually one of a couple Odyssey block superstars that we got to see here. Battle Screech, big one that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Nimble Mongoose also important.
Icarid? No, that's sorry, wrong set.
I mean, that's Odyssey block.
Yeah, I know.
Battle
that's wrong
Screech is
set.
a Judgment. But
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
yeah, it's Odyssey Torment Judgment.
Okay.
Yeah.
OTJ.
Yeah, that's right. Really interesting draft format. I don't really have anything to compare it to. That
I've
was-
never drafted the format. I know very few of the cards in that set besides the ones that are played in Legacy. And then I think I've opened up a couple plane chip packs, and that's about it.
That's Invasion Block.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's
Oh,
about
oh,
my
I
knowledge
see
of
you,
the set.
I see you. I see you. Okay, that's
I'm
good.
aware. We just went over that it's OTJ. It's not
Yeah.
POTJ.
Killing me with this. Speaking of really interesting cards from older sets, CardKingdom.com has generously given us
You and I?
knuckleheads.
Yeah.
A stream coupon unique to this week, ends today. You can see it down at
Oh,
the
does it
bottom.
end today?
It does end today.
Oh, I'm buying some cards today then.
Yeah, you get 5% off plus the you'll caster discount.
Yeah.
Yeah, using that will not only give you 5% off of a vast selection of singles and foils available here at CardKingdom.com, but will let us know, well, more accurately, it will let the people that work at Card Kingdom know that you like our stream and that you're listening and you think that we're doing a good job.
It shows that the stream is a good source of revenue for them, so they should invest in it. And
Exactly.
you know what? If we have the numbers to be like, look at how many people use our coupon code.
Exactly.
You're like,
Maybe you could buy us a computer that won't crash in the middle of round 2.
Yeah.
Just saying.
It's your fault if the computer crashes again. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding.
I
We'll
think
blame
it was
Corneo for that.
absolutely 100% correct. First, his wife, Mrs. Cornejo, brings the spotter and then knocks it all on our list of like who's playing what. Then the thing does the thing, and then the other stuff, and then
They show us what greatness looks like,
exactly.
and then pours it in our faces.
Yeah, we've got this very nicely printed out document. In any case,
We got just a couple minutes left in the round, just under 2 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
in fact. And we're just vamping,
I think that's it.
getting set up for round 3.
Yeah,
Do you have any other cool decks? I'm going to take a look at this.
Yeah, let's take how about ourselves a little look-see. We've got Sean Cat and they say playing Tin Fins. I hope he's doing well. I'd love
Yeah.
to see that again.
I'm surprised he's not playing Netherlands. That's usually what he's on.
Yeah, that was the first time I noticed that Dragonlord Jamoka was not counterable.
Yeah.
Because he played it into Nethervoid.
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah,
Show
so-
me your moves.
Yeah,
Nether Void doesn't have very good moves.
it does not. No, Abrupt Decay actually pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cannot be countered in the face of Nether Void. Can't target Nether Void with it. It's a cost 4.
You know what I think is very funny?
What do you think
is the fact that they have this wording specific for cards that target. Can't be countered by spells or abilities, so it can be countered by the game rules.
Correct.
And then you have cards like Dragon Lord Jamoka that obviously don't target, so they can't be fizzled on resolution by the game rules, so they
Correct.
just have to say can't be countered.
Uh-huh.
And then you have Gilded Drake, which says this card can be countered by spells or abilities, but not game rules. Just in case you ever need that interaction, which has come up before.
Can stifle it.
Yes, you can stifle it.
Yeah,
but
I know, I think there was a time where that ability just resolved no matter what. You couldn't stifle it.
I
kind of
believe
a-
it was an as it comes into play effect, and then it was a ratted back to it when it comes into play effect because they realized that it doesn't make sense for an as it comes into play effect to target.
Yeah, that not a lot of room for counterplay,
Yes.
if you will. Not a term Wizards likes to use, but
Yes.
borrow that from other games.
Yeah, they don't like that word, really?
I mean, I've never heard a Magic developer reference counterplay
Okay.
before, in the same way that other like esports do.
Yeah, makes sense.
And
Magic is a game that's played in phases rather than active,
Yeah.
so it's a little bit harder to have like in the spur of the moment counteraction.
yeah, that makes sense.
But I think that a lot of Magic is trying to pave a route around what your opponent's trying to do, and so a lot of it is just trying to pick up your roadblocks and move them in the way. Like we saw that game, there was a lot of times where Nick thought that holding onto that Flicker Wisp was going to be relevant. There was going to be a situation where he was going to get John.
Right. Instead of using it offensively, getting it on the field, letting his sword come in through for one attack, held onto it, trying to block John from doing something clever. Do you think?
And I think that would have been a good strategy if Nick had the initiative. He was being a little bit more proactive. Maybe he was able to sit up that sword. Maybe if he had gotten a Jite instead of that Sword of Fire and Ice,
Yeah,
then the
exactly.
situation would have been a lot different because then the onus is on John to blink first. Then John
Right.
has to make the first play. Whereas because John was like, no, you know what, I'm going to draw 1.5 cards a turn with my Goblin Welder, Sensei's Divining Top, chicanery,
Tomfoolery,
Yeah.
debauchery.
debauchery. Oh, I'm getting excited.
I don't think 1.5 cards per turn qualifies as debauchery. I think that's like maybe 3.
it's like
if you had-
debauchery for Mormons, I think.
You know, you're from Utah. As I
I'm
understand it.
from here. I went to school in Utah.
Oh, okay, all right. So you don't get to talk intelligently about the Mormon people.
I mean, I grew up
That
here.
came out super accusatory, so that's my
Yes.
bad.
I grew up here, and so we don't have a lot of religion here. We got a little bit of religion.
Exactly. We drink a lot of coffee, as you noticed in chat. Talk super fast, and then
How about safe spaces?
yep, a lot of safe spaces. Some sun, but mostly rain.
Yeah,
I think today was not so bad. Today was a little
it
cloudy.
was overcast, but it wasn't raining.
I know I got
wasn't
spoiled.
even misting.
We had like 7 days straight of just drop dead beautiful weather.
I live just down the street from Green Lake, great park in Seattle. Walk there 5-10 minutes, throw the frisbee around for 30 minutes every day. Oh, it was great.
Yeah, I feel like I squandered it. I always feel like that come like September or so. It's like, man, it's
I
getting
got
rainy.
too used to this.
Oh, I'm so sad now.
Yeah.
I gotta buy a special lamp so I can go to work now. It's so sad. Anyway, so we're coming up on
Round 3.
round 3.
That is correct. Not the most debaucherous of all rounds.
No. Round 3 is a fine round.
Round 4 is the debauchery round,
Absolutely.
and then round 5 is the barbecue round.
Let's try it. We'll get one match on camera and get it through as fast as possible, and then
That's
go to
always the
barbecue.
dream.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we do this for you guys, but also I want to eat barbecue, so we got to
Yeah.
find out a compromise. And it tends to be find the fastest match, get it on camera, hope it goes
And then
2-0.
get out. Only kidding. All right. So what do you think? What do you think about the decks we've got here on the field?
So it's pretty widespread. We had the metagram breakdown. Let's pull that up again
Yeah.
rather than on our darling mugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't stop looking at this one, but I really want to look at a pie chart right now.
The fact that there's a pie chart on the screen is making me really sad.
Yeah.
Chris, do you think you could get us that pie chart?
It's not accurate.
Perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
it was 50%.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
So this is a lesson to you at home. If you use pie charts, they'll crash your computer. Don't use pie charts.